Hello, everyone. I am sorry. I'm a little bit late, just finishing up with a client. And let me know in the chat if you're here. Welcome to the should and shouldn't of when you have pain. We are in this workshop. I'm hoping that some of you can come live. If you're not able to watch it live, that's okay. You can watch the replay. And during the replay, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Happy to answer them later. Either I can type out the answer, or if I get a lot of the same question, maybe I'll just host another live workshop or post a little video about it. So make sure you jump on live if you're here now. Say hi in the chat. I'll wait a few minutes for everyone to trickle in and, get into the nitty-gritty of the should and shouldn'ts of pain. What to do when you have pain. We'll get officially started in just a few moments. I'm just going to roll through this to see if I got any extra questions. I know, Sophia, you had a question about shoulder pain. Let's see. Talk about shoulder pain, should and shouldn't. Yeah, thank you for submitting that question. And I had a few others that I knew wanted to join. So I'll just check in and make sure there's no other questions before I start the workshop officially. All right. If you are here live, go ahead and say hi. You can open up the chat and type in there, say hello, tell me where you're watching from. I would love to know your questions around pain, what you're maybe struggling with. Let me know. Let me know. Just wait a few more moments. I do see some of you are on live. Welcome, welcome. I haven't started the pain should and shouldn'ts officially quite yet. So if you want to just type in the live chat, you just click and type. Tell me where you're watching from, where you're tuning in from. My name is Tatiana. If you don't know me, my background is physiotherapy. I'm a physiotherapist and a yoga instructor and a mindfulness coach. I am the founder of the Move with Ease method. It is a program designed for women to live their best second half of lives, overcome the traditional aches and pains and stiffness that seem like it comes with aging. But we have a choice. We don't have to live like that. So I'm super passionate about helping coach people through healing, through movement, mindfulness, getting connected to their bodies. So many of us become structurally disconnected, meaning, we lack a lot of this. A lot of people lack it, so it becomes normal, but it's it becomes common, but it's not normal, right? So we need to bring back this sort of mind-body connection to help our bodies heal and continue to do the activities we love, show up as the spouse you want to show up as the mom you want to show up as. Maybe you're a grandma, being able to take care of those grandkids, get down on the floor with them, play golf, do all the activities that life has to offer without suffering or without paying for it with aches and pains later. So today we are in the workshop. Hi, Anne-Marie. Thank you for saying hi. It's nice to know someone is watching. So if you are watching live, go ahead and type in the chat where you're watching from. And if you have any questions around pain or where you're struggling with, what area of your body, go ahead and type it in the chat. So I'll get started now as it's 12:10 and I have just a small window of time here for the workshop. But I get this question a lot, like I have, neck pain. What should or shouldn't I do? Or I have back pain and I've been told I shouldn't bend my back. Like, what should I do? I get this a lot from clients and just friends in general, even. And it's really quite simple, but it's difficult to practice. Okay, so the concept is really simple about pain. All pain is real. Okay, if you feel pain, you're not imagining, it's real. Our brains interpret something and it's telling you it's painful. Trust me, your pain is real. So I want you to feel validated first that your pain is real. Now it's deciphering whether the pain is a memory pain. Is it a present pain? Is it a nerve pain? Is it a muscle pain? Is it a joint pain? Is it a skin pain? Is it fascial pain or bone pain? So you can see that's very confusing, isn't it? There's actually so many different categories of pain. What I can tell you is this: unless you have a broken bone, like a fracture, and you're in a cast, because broken bones need to be casted so the bones can set for 6 to 8 weeks, sometimes even 12 weeks, just depend how bad the break is. You should be able to move. And I don't mean move like go crazy 100% at the gym and then suffer from it after, okay? Movement can look like breath work. Movement can look like really gentle, 10%. Like, let's say this is 100%. Let's take shoulder, for example. Sophia had a question about shoulder. If I have shoulder pain, what should and shouldn't I do? Okay. I don't know the ins and outs of your shoulder pain, but I can tell you this. If your shoulder is not broken at the bone and you have shoulder pain, probably lifting your arm above shoulder height to reach something, then that's probably right now, that range of motion is difficult. And if you're paying for it, if it's sharp shooting, if the pain is more than local, it's going down the arm or it's shooting up to the neck, could be nerve, could also be muscle. Muscle has a pain path, and it could be fascial as well. But nerve tends to be very sharp shooty and even numb and tingly, whereas fascial or muscle pain is more like a radiating sort of this like dull ache. And either way, our bodies need to move and glide. So picture your skin, fascia, muscle, bone, plus nerves, arteries, and veins. So many structures, so many layers. And as we move, things need to glide. When we are stuck in one posture for prolonged periods of time, think computer work, right? Like typing, you're stuck, maybe you're a little hunched even, and you're just in that one posture for a long time. Things tend to get bound down against each other. And then when you get up to go do something and you suddenly move, it can feel painful and things can feel stuck. Or you have an actual shoulder injury, but because you weren't moving it, the cells and the blood and everything in your body is trying to heal that injury. It's healing in a stuck position. So then when you go to do the thing, do the movement, reach for your, plate off the cupboard, or reaching behind, reaching in drive-through to get your coffee, and you feel that pain, that's probably more than you hurting yourself again. It's more that things are bound down together and stuck, and your body's just now not used to that, and it's processing it as pain. So what does that mean? What should I do? What shouldn't I do, right? What you should do is try to change the mindset a little bit, okay? It's not, I have pain, so rest in ice and don't move, because that leads to a lot of trouble. You'll end up with pain in other areas and you'll just end up being more stiff and sore. But you also don't need to go and keep testing that painful range of motion and aggravating it. But what you want to try is to shift your mindset into a curiosity one versus fear. So a lot of people with pain end up being fearful to move the part or do the things, do the activities. But instead of being afraid, come at it with curiosity and testing it, but in a gentle, mindful way. So, okay, I have shoulder pain. I know that, reaching all the way maximal range of motion hurts, but what if I do 50%, right? What if I do 40% and 40% in all directions, right? We don't want to just be stuck in one way. So if that feels okay, or maybe stretching the elbow out with my arm because my shoulder hurts, that extra lengthening in the skin and the muscles and the fascia is too much, but I keep my elbow bent and I do shoulder rolls this way. Oh, it's stiff, but it's not painful. Like, that's good. Or maybe it's a little painful, but it's tolerable, right? I always tell my people 0 to 10. If it's less than a 3, you are safe to do it. If you're pushing into 5, 6, 7, and you're like, oh, this hurts, but no pain, no gain. Well, you're just going to aggravate it. And then you'll be so sore and stiff, and then you'll set yourself back. But if it's, low grade 2, 3, 3s, like kind of that edge, then yeah, maybe I can do that. Like maybe I can work with that. And then, be consistent with it. And you'll be surprised. Maybe after a week of being consistent with that range of motion at 3 out of 10 pain or less, and that 40% motion, maybe next week you're like, oh, I can move it more now. Now I'm at a 50%. And then like gradually build from there, right? So what I'm trying to tell you guys is healing really does require movement. People who have total knee or hip replacements, they're completely replacing the whole joint. They are up and moving with a physiotherapist in hospital day of surgery. And I think most of them are sent home now. You don't even stay overnight, because that bed rest, like not moving in a bed, lying there, is really detrimental to the rehabilitation. So recovering from that joint surgery, meaning in order to heal from that big surgery, total hip replacement, total knee replacement, people need to get up and moving and start doing their physiotherapy exercises, start doing their rehab exercises right away. It doesn't mean, go run a marathon or, start walking up and down the street. That's not safe. But, if you can get up on the side of your bed, start moving, weight bearing in it, bend and straighten your knee. You're not going to bend and straighten it all the way. Of course not. You just had surgery. Things are tender, things are healing. But if you can even just bend and straighten 10%, that's really good. And that's going to promote blood flow, promote circulation. And that's why that's the protocol now. I think probably over 20, 30 years ago, people were bedridden for a day. Then they got people up the next day, and then they stayed overnight in the hospital 2-3 days, I believe, and then got sent home. But now they're realizing, okay, we got to get people moving faster than that, because when your body starts to bind and heal and throw inflammation at the area, things can really get bogged down. So actually movement, but mindful movement within that 0 to 3 out of 10 for that pain scale, that's kind of where you need to play. Okay, I'll give you another example. So if you tend to have an angry lower back. This is a common one, like sitting for too long and you go to get up out of your desk or a long car ride and you feel like when you get up, it's like really hard to straighten up. Kind of have to do this kind of thing. And like you have a few steps that are a bit hobbly. And then you're like, okay, now that I'm warmed up, I can walk. Well, maybe addressing that stiffness that does turn into pain before you stand up, right? Because in sitting, a lot of muscles are shortened. And if you're sitting for, hours on end at work because you're so busy and you forgot to take your frequent work breaks, things can get really stiff, not only in the muscles, but even in the joints themselves. So your lower back, well, your whole back is like one bone on top of the other. That's lots of joints. So even just in sitting, I have a black chair here. Sorry, it's hard to see. Here's my bum. Here's my black chair. And before you stand up, you can just start to milk some movement in your lower back by rocking your hips back and forth. Try it with me now if you're sitting. So I have my hands on my hips and I'm just rocking my hips back and forth, right? And maybe that feels a bit sore, but as you rock back and forth, the fluid starts moving. You start to encourage the tissues to glide against each other. Remember, your tissues aren't stagnant. There's fluid in between, but the layers can get really gunked up. So you just want to encourage that. And then maybe a little bit of side to side, right? So if you were to look at me from the back, I'm just sort of hiking my hip one side to the next, up and down. It doesn't have to be crazy. I'm just sort of, motion is lotion. I'm sure you've heard that expression. I'm just lotioning up my hip and lower back joint and muscles, and then maybe just a little bit of twisting, right? And if twisting hurts, don't twist so far. Go 10%. 10% feels okay, maybe go 20%. Okay, 20% is enough today, that's okay. Or maybe you've done this for 4 days in a row, and now you can go, 40 to 50%. Whatever you can do is good. Like, it's not all or nothing. Okay? Whatever you can do is good. And now that you've warmed up and you go to stand up, you're probably going to be less sore. It's not going to be such a shock to go from, 5 hours of sitting, let's say, or 3 hours of sitting to standing up because you've warmed up that area. So the answer is kind of the same for all areas, unless you have a broken bone, right? Whether it's your shoulder, your hip, your back, your neck, it's always better to move, but mindfully and with intention, okay? So taking the time to slow down a little bit. We live in such a fast-paced world. Technology is great, right? But it kind of, we have this tendency to want instant gratification, Google it, get the answer now, or, how come that person hasn't texted me back? It's been 30 seconds. The human body, it hasn't evolved as quickly as technology. It still needs that time. It needs the slowdown, right? Our nervous system is fight or flight, rest or relax. And if we're always in fight or flight, which is go, 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 right? At some point, the body's going to crash and you're going to feel those effects through symptoms like stress, pain, lack of sleep, weight gain, all that stuff. So by just kind of allowing your brain, training your mind, training your body to slow down a little bit, and training yourself to just listen for a second. Okay, yeah, when I stand up out of a chair, my lower back, I feel 80. I feel like an 80-year-old. I really just want to get out of my car without limping before I get the grocery cart. Fair enough. Rock back and forth a little bit in the car seat. Close your eyes. Put the phone away for a second. Okay, can I wiggle my hips back and forth? Yeah, I can. Okay. I'm going to get out of my car now, right? I'm going to stand up out of my car and just sort of do a little bit of twisting movement. Can I rock my hips in standing a little bit? Loosen up some of those joints, some of those muscles surrounding my lower back and my hips. You can even be playful with it, right? I know some of you have probably downloaded XYZ Spine. For those who don't know, I have a document that talks about XYZ in your spine. I can send it to you, just post in the comments. And then once you do a little bit of that, you probably feel a bit better. You can go ahead and walk into the grocery store without feeling like I so hunched over. I'm only 45. Like, why is this happening to me? And then like straightening out as you grocery shop. It's just giving your body and your mind just that 1 or 2 minutes of mindful movement to alleviate those tension, painful areas that tend to stiffen up on you. Everybody has, you know, their little culprit areas, and just trying to come at them with some curiosity versus fear. So being like, okay, like I know I have tension in my shoulder. I know sometimes my shoulder is kind of angry and talks to me. Like, what can I do to kind of encourage some movement in it that isn't going to set me back, but that can, like, you know, make me feel like, oh, feels a little looser. I feel like I can, you know, use my elbow, use my hand, my wrist, and maybe I can roll my shoulder a little bit. So that's also really important to know, right? Is the joints above and below. So let's say your knee is really sore. What's the joint above your knee? Type it in the chat if you know. What's the joint above your knee? I'll just wait a second. It's not a trick question. If you know the answer, go ahead and type it. The joint above your knee, yes, ding, 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 good job, Anne-Marie, is your hip. So if you've got a lot of knee issues, and you know, maybe you're having a really bad day and your knee is super swollen and you just can't even weight bear or bend it, but what about your hip? Like, likely your hip can tolerate some movement, right? So the joint above the knee, still move it. Even if it's something simple like pretend I'm lying down and I just like, my knee is really angry, but I just like rock my hip back and forth, rock my hip side to side. Has nothing to do with my knee, but because I'm moving the joint above my knee, it's encouraging the muscles. Some of the knee and hip muscles are the same. It's encouraging movement and fluidity in those muscles, and just moving in general is better than not moving, right? And then what's the joint below your knee? Go ahead and type it in the chat if you want. What's the joint below? Yeah, exactly. It's your ankle. Good job. So my knee is angry today, but my ankle's feeling not bad. I can roll it. I can pump it, right? And then maybe after you do some love with the hip and the ankle, your knee pain is not as bad and you can bend and straighten it a little bit. Or if it's as bad, you just accept, okay, today is not a day that I can do much with my knee, but I can, you know, do stuff with the joint above and below. It's still, I'm still benefiting from it, right? Don't be so hard on yourself that it's got to be all or nothing, because bite-sized pieces over time, truly, especially for health, is where you're going to bank like your future investment. Okay. So, you know, it's way better to do 10 minutes of something that you can be consistent of every day for like a month, even a week. Let's make it even simpler. If you can do something consistently every day for only 10 minutes of movement for your body, and I'm not talking anything crazy, even if you just did XYZ, even if you just moved all your joints, right? I have a video on that too that I can post if anybody has questions. What do you mean move all your joints? I have a video I can show you. It's like a 30-second video. If you just spent 10 minutes every day consistently doing something for your body, movement-wise, mindfully, right? Not in a rush, but mindfully slowing down, paying attention to your body, and you were consistent, just 10 minutes a day, that would actually pay you back so much more in the future than if you did a 1-hour workout and crashed for the next 3 days because you overdid it. Now everything hurts and like you're paying for it and you aggravated your pain, right? Like you flared it up even more and now you're set back even more. So really adapting the mindset of it's not all or nothing, and coming at your pain, try to be curious about it rather than fearful. Okay. And just allowing the brain and the body to connect. So taking the time to just, put away the device, put away the TV or whatever it is, and just tuning inward. You can play soft music, that's okay, but nothing with like crazy lyrics that you'll like pull away. You really want to just give yourself that time to listen to your body and connect so that you can, really identify like, okay, wait, like that pain isn't like, it's not, once I've repeated that movement, it's not as bad anymore. Or nope, now that I've done that movement several times, it's like sharp shooting down my arm. Like that way, when you give yourself that time and the attention, you can start to, categorize that pain a little better. And your body will know. Our bodies are very smart. Our minds are very smart. We know when something feels like that good bad versus like the bad. I really hope this pain workshop was helpful. The big takeaways are get curious about your pain rather than fear, right? Get rid of that fearful mindset. But it's not no pain, no gain. It's listen to your body, do what you can under that 3 out of 10, and then moving a little bit every day is better than going all out one day and then, paying for it for the next 3 days. So bite-sized, attainable, sustainable, consistent practices that you can incorporate into your day. It will pay you back so much more in your future self. It's just like money in the bank, putting a little bit every day, right? Next year, if you put like a little bit of money in the bank every day and then took it out next year, that like feels like such a big win, right? But it's hard to see it every day. It's the same as your health and your body, especially with fitness and movement. But trust in the process, trust that you're healing your body when you do these little changes. Any questions, you guys? Oh, hi, Katie. Awesome. I'm glad you were listening. Pretty much done here, but if anybody has a question, you can post it in the chat and I would be happy to answer it. I'll hang around for a few moments if anybody wants to ask me anything. For those who are watching the replay, just a reminder that you can still post questions after and I'll try to answer. And for those that are new to me, thank you for joining our group. This is a safe space for women, mostly 40 plus, to reclaim their bodies and feel confident and free to move with ease so that we can all live the second half of our lives to its fullest, enjoying activities you love, enjoying showing up for your kids and your spouse and your friends and yourself, being able to travel without feeling fearful your back will go out. This is all about preventative health, living our best lives, and alleviating any pain or aches that you may be struggling with. Can you send the XYZ document? Yes, I will put it in the chat. It's actually, so Katie, it is the free guide I'll give you the link. I feel like you may already have the free guide. And then inside the free guide, there's a section on XYZ and there's a YouTube video that goes with it. Let me see, here it is. You're welcome, Anne-Marie. So the link in the chat there is a free guide. Maybe what I'll do also is, if anyone is interested, I do offer a complimentary call that is free. It's about half an hour to just help you get some clarity and clear about your goals and whether or not we would be a good fit to work together. I have a program that is geared exactly for helping women overcome the traditional aches and pains of aging. And I would love to chat with you about it if you're interested. If you have any questions about it, we can talk about it on the call. So the link is also there if anybody wants to book that. And the Discover 3 tips women can use to reduce back stiffness, that's where the XYZ spine is. Super important because we are 3D. We need to move in XYZ. That's what I'm talking about. You can check it out in the doc. That's it for today. If you have any more questions, go ahead and type it in the chat. Otherwise, have a great Monday and hope to connect with you soon. Bye for now.